Today we're going to talk about compass bearings and true bearings. So we're going to do our compass bearings in blue and our true bearings in purple. Let's talk about compass bearings first. Here we've got three diagrams that have compasses on them. We know that they're a compass because they point north. North is always up. Our east is always in this direction, south is always down, and west is always to the left. Okay, now when it comes to compass bearings, we're either looking at where our line is closest to. It's either going to be closest to north or closer to south. So obviously I'm looking at this line here that is my point A to point B, and it tells me it's 20 degrees here, but we'll use that in a second. First up, we need to talk about, is it closer to north or closer to south? Obviously in this case, it's closer to south. So we're starting by writing S for south. Now, is it closer to west or closer to east? You can see it's poking this way, so it's going to be east. Now I've left a gap in the middle, and that's for our number. So the number that we write in the middle is how far our line is from our first letter. So we're looking at how far our line is from south. So in this case, we know that this angle here is 20 degrees. So that means it's measured from here to here, it's 20 degrees away from south. So we just write south, 20, east. And that's it. Let's move on to this next one. Now, it's either going to start with an N for north or an S for south, whichever one it's closest to. Here it's closer to north, so it's going to be N something, and then either east or west. Now let me label this on here. This is west, this is east, this is south. It's closer to west, so a W is going to go at the end. Now, we're not trying to measure how far it is from west. That's where people get confused often when it comes to compass bearings. You want to see how far it is from your first letter. So even though I've got a 30 in here telling me that this angle is 30 degrees, I don't want to know that. I want to know how far it is from north. I want to know how far it is from here. Now because these are all right angles, I know that from west to north is 90 degrees. I can take away 30, and whatever's left is what angle is in here. So 90 take away 30 gives me 60 degrees. So that means I'm putting a 60 here because my line is 60 degrees away from north. So it's north, 60, west. Okay, let's talk about this one over here. Again, I'm starting with either north or south. It's pointing towards south. Let me just label these, east, west. It's pointing south, so it's going to be S something, and it's closer to west than it is to east, so it's going to end with a W. And again, I'm not trying to find how far it is from west. I want to know how far it is from south, whatever my first letter was. So because these form a right angle, they're going to add to 90, so whatever's left to get to 90 will tell me how far this is. So 40 plus 50 gives us 90, so that means that this is south, 50 west. And that's it. Now it's good practice to put our little degrees in here. Sometimes the markers are very particular. Now let's talk about true bearings. Now true bearings are 3 digits. We are looking for a number, something, something, something degrees. And you'll sometimes see a little T next to it telling us that it's a true bearing, but not always. So we're looking for 3 digits that represent where this line is, but it's in relation to north. So we always measure our bearings clockwise from north. So we're measuring from here all the way around down to here. So I want to find out how far it is from north to here. So I know that this part up here is 90, this top bit. Now I've got to figure out how far is the rest of the trip. So 90 plus something will give me the bearing of this here. So 20 is this part. What's left to get to 90? It'd be 70. So 90 plus 70 gives us 160 degrees. So this has a bearing of 160 degrees. Okay, another way that we could have done it, let me change colours here, is I know that south is a straight line from north. So south is 180 degrees. So I could have gone 180, take away 20, would give me 160. Whatever way floats your boat is fine by me. All right, let's talk about this one here. I'm measuring from north, going clockwise, so I'm wanting to go all the way around to here. And I want to find out how far that is. Now, I could go, this is 90, plus 90, plus 90, plus 30 to find it. Or I could go, a full revolution is 360, and I just calculated that this bit in here is 60, so I could minus that if I wanted to. Whatever floats your boat. Either way, the answer is going to be 300 degrees. Now, no matter what, your bearings have to be 3 digits. Now, I don't have any examples here on the board that aren't 3 digits, but let me just draw a little fictitious one down at the bottom. Say I have my north's up here, I've got a little line, let's make it green. Over here, let's make it 2 degrees, just for fun. All right, it's 2 degrees from north. How do I write that as a true bearing? It's got to be 3 digits with a little degrees sign. It'll just be 2 degrees with 0, 0 in front. Okay, a true bearing always has to be 3 digits. Okay, moving on to this one here. Now, I'm measuring clockwise again from north all the way around here. I want to find out how many degrees it is all the way around. I have 2 choices. I can either go 90 for this bit, plus 90, plus 50, or I could go 360, minus 90, minus 40. You know, actually I've got 3 ways. Or I could know that west is 270 and take away 40 from it. So what will that give me? I've got 90 plus 90, that's 180. 180 plus 50 is 130 degrees. Okay, and that's what you need to know about compass bearings and true bearings, but there can be challenge questions, and let me show you one of those. Let's do it on our last example. Let me rub these out to make some more space. Okay, now these questions that we've just been solving is we've been looking for the bearing of F from E. What the heck does that mean? What it means is if we're standing at the point where it says from, so I'm standing from E, so I'm standing right here, and I'm looking at point F. I'm calculating the bearing from here, from E to F, okay? Or it could be worded as to F from E, something like that. But the from tells you where we're standing, so we're standing at point E. That's what we've just done. But occasionally you can get challenge questions where you've got to do it in reverse. Let me change colours. Let's do this one. I could get a question where I'm saying, find the bearing of E from F. Okay, so I flipped it around. Now it means that I'm standing on F. And I'm now looking back at E. So I can't use this compass that I had originally. I've got to draw a new one. I have to draw a compass right here. Okay, so that's my north. And I am looking back up here. Now I can use the information that's in the original compass, but it's going to look a little bit different. Now we've got to remember back to our parallel lines and all that sort of stuff that we would have learned in year 7 or year 8. So this here is an alternate angle with this one down here. So if this is 40 degrees, this is going to be 40 degrees. If this one's 50, this one up here is going to be 50. Why is that important? Well, that's going to help me calculate the bearing of this line here. So I am measuring from north to this line. So from here to here is 50 because it's my alternating angle with this one. So how do I write that as a true bearing? It's 50 degrees, but it's got to be 3 digits, so 050 degrees. if I was calculating the bearing of E from F. So the word from is the thing to tell you where you're standing. And wherever you're standing, you have to have a compass. All right, so draw your own compass if you're not standing at the center point. If you're standing over here, you've got to draw a new compass there. Same as here. This question here is calculating B from A, because A is where I'm standing. It hasn't been written like that, because it's not one of those challenging word questions, but you can get questions where they might say, calculate B from A, and then calculate A from B. So if I'm doing one of those, again, I'd have to draw a little compass, have to use the information that I have here. Basically, the angles swap spots. So if this is 20 up here, this would become 20 over here. This is 70 here, this would become 70 here. And then from there, I can calculate my bearing all the way around. That would give me 360 minus 20. So this one here would be 340 degrees A from B. Okay, cool. And that's what you need to know about compass and true bearings.